we were talking about finances being misused, and not only misused, but ill-gotten.
They've realized that the nonprofit can do some good with a carrot, but then just stockpile money. And so donors are giving, looking at the carrot, saying we're doing good work, as the nonprofit itself, as the corporation just stockpiles resources.
Yes.
Just it's kind of a hoax how they get it. It's a scandal how they keep it, and a bigger scandal how they use it.
So how much do they spend a year helping the needy?
Estimates are 60 to 100 million. So, but they're raising hundreds of millions annually. So they're building this war chest. And this is
how can Franklin Graham be raising that much more than he's spending on the needy?
Because he's a good fundraiser.
Yeah, but like, isn't the money, don't people give to him
to do good? Yes.
Yeah. And you wanted to highlight that we're not beating on people. And I think you just did that, saying, no, they're wonderful. And even the guy, Nathan, in the Tucker video said, people are wonderful. I love people, you know? And I think included in that is Paula White and Donald Trump and, you know, the grand leader of Iran. And they're people.
Exactly. Yes.
And you were worried. You said we don't want to beat on people, and we don't want to people feel like they're getting, you know, their thoughts are feeling stepped on or whatever. And what I was going to say was, I don't think it's a problem because they're going to believe it until God shows them otherwise.
Yes,
which is what you're talking about, like. Tucker, that video, as of right now, last I saw, had about 1.5 million views. Really? I don't know how many minds it changed. There was a few people in the comments. There was one of the top comments was a guy who was Jewish, and he said, "I've been a Jew for 66 years, and after this, I'm thinking of following Christ and his teachings." So maybe some minds changed, but by and large, I think, you know, it's great to get the info out, and I think minds are more open now than they've been in a long time.
People want answers, because I think people are really confused, and they're realizing they're confused, and they're realizing there's something wrong with what they're hearing and what they believe, but they don't know what.
Right. They can look at the picture, the church, like the Samaritan's Purse, or, you know, the Mormon Church, or Paula White. They can look at this information, Christians, and say, now if somebody's going to believe Kenneth Copeland, I think you'd be hard pressed to present them with facts and have them change their mind. He himself justified why he needed a private jet.
Yeah.
And whoever liked him and wanted to believe what he said that's good enough for me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. He needs a private jet. What can you say? And I'm sure though it turned off a lot of people who did like him and were like, wait a second, that doesn't sound right. Like that doesn't make sense. What makes you so special that? Like, what makes you more special than I am? Because God loves me and he loves you. So he doesn't want bad for either of us, but how come you get a private jet? Not that you can't if you've got money, but to be like, well, I'm taking money from people and saying I'm doing God's work and this is godly stuff I'm doing, so I get a private jet. Like, well, didn't Jesus do pretty godly stuff and he didn't have a jet? And then there was the comment where, oh, well, he used a donkey and that was the best mode of transportation. And that was like Kenneth Copeland's connection, or people with private jet, maybe not him in particular. And Tucker Carlson pointed out a donkey was a humiliating way to get around. You know, that was what was left over in the stables. I'll grab one, I guess. That's all you got. And then we'll ride Jesus in on that. It wasn't a form of, he wasn't getting carried in on a throne. He was riding in on a donkey, you know, and people were laying their coats and, revering him even in that status. But it was not a lofty, prestigious way to travel. It's a smelly, kind of stubborn animal. And so to equate the two is kind of ridiculous. I'm sure people saw that and said, that's ridiculous. But I'm sure there were just as many people who saw it and said, no, that's fine. I'll go with that. Because it pushes too hard. Because it hurts.
Yeah.
To not believe this stuff. It hurts to think, I've been following this guy for 20 years and he's a fraud. Like, that hurts.
None of us want to believe that we have believed anything that's not true.
Oh my goodness! It's awful.
We'll defend what we believe that isn't true because we just can't.
Yeah.
We can't be wrong.
I'd rather die. I'd rather die than be wrong.
Yeah,
yeah. Just and I think that me and you are. So we would rather be wrong than die. Like. We're like, tell me, where am I wrong? Where am I wrong? Because I would like to know. Even if, and we started out talking with the land of Israel and how God put it to them. And did they get it? Or did they get it and then lose it? And are they supposed to still have it? There's a lot of nuance to all this stuff. But yeah, your two questions. Who is God and who are we? What does he think? Should they? Yeah. Should they have it? Because we are we're going to war over, well, yes, they should. Okay, well, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Well, how are you sure, Mr. President? How are you sure? Well, because this guy told me. Okay, well, what does God say? Well, this guy talks to God and he told me. Like, no, wait a sec. Like, we need to know what we're doing here a little bit because he wants us to. He wants us to know what's right. Are we supposed to wipe people out? Is that God's plan? Okay. If it is, then okay. But are you sure?
Many years ago, I stopped going to regular churches. I had been going to a church that I really liked, but my ears began to open, and I began to hear what the guy was really saying.
Yeah.
And the logic of what he was saying.
Yeah.
I thought, this is wrong. I mean, this guy one time preached that if you don't give over and above the tithe, you're cursed. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That there's something wrong here. And he had said it before, but I never heard it till that day. And I literally went and left the sanctuary and went out in the foyer and cried.
Yeah.
It's like, this is horrendous. This is terrible. Where's all this coming from? And it tore me apart. I needed to know who God is.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy didn't. And I decided to stop going to church because I'd been to so many for so many years. And I thought, people always condemn me and say, well, you can't forsake the assembling of yourselves together.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that you've got to be in church. And I used to think, wait a minute. So, God, you would prefer me to go sit in a church that is teaching things about you and about people that aren't true. And that's more important. That is so important that I should do that, and I'm condemned if I don't go to church. Could the Bible be telling us that God really did what he promised, and now all he wants us to do is recognize and agree with him, with what he says, instead of agreeing with what everybody else says? Is it possible that God just wants us to agree with him, that God wants us to know what he has said, and then just agree with it and watch his words, his reasoning, his logic literally work inside our hearts and minds to cause us to increasingly think just like him, which would then make us act like him with no effort. Could that be possible?
Well, that doesn't sell. And it doesn't keep people's butts in the seats. And that was another thing that Tucker and Nathan were talking about was, and the 40,000 denominations or variations of church, well, if I'm in this one, then why am I not in that one? Well, because this one's better and it believes better and it believes more right. And we believe more right in this church than in this church over here. So that's why I'm here. And it's a very business model-y, he pointed out. But you said something too. You talked about leaving church and you walked out and you cried. And that's the situation a ton of people are in, The verse, where else should we go, popped into my mind. Now, to me, that verse is Jesus. Like, he's the one who's got the truth, and God connected with him in us. That's where the truth is. I can't go find it in money or power or, women or drugs or whatever. I can't find the stuff that I need anywhere else. But I think people going to church, that's their link, and that's that. Like you said, it was a hard decision to walk out of that. You like some of the stuff, I like some of the community. I like some of the teaching. It makes me feel good. And I'm in the same boat. Like, I haven't been to church much in years and years, was a very regular devout, attended religiously and found great stuff in it. But yeah, once I started seeing, well, wait a sec, it's not teaching me what's actually true. I'm actually learning the opposite. I remember going to a service where I caught it at the very end. Like, he preached and we got to do this and we got to do this and we got to do this and this. And then at the very end, he said something like, and ask God for help. And I was like, you just told me for 40 minutes how I have to do all this stuff. And then at the very end, you throw on, ask God for help too. Like, he kind of wants to help out. And I was like, whoa, man, like, this is exhausting. I can't do that stuff. I can't. I've tried and I've spent years doing it. And I can't. I need God to, I don't need his help. I need him to do it for me. I can't do it. And your son, the excerpt from your book that we, put up last time, it's exhausting. It's you're trying to be a thing instead of you're trying to act like a thing instead of be the thing. And God lives through us, or wants to, if we can let him. But man, you got people telling you, try harder, do it better, give me money and then you'll have it. If you tithe, you don't want to be cursed, do you? 10% is the minimum to just be not cursed. You want to be blessed. We're talking 20-25% here. 10% will just keep you out of trouble. And that's so sick. And it's the guys that they were talking about on the Tucker interview are doing that. And it's awful. But where else are you going to go? Where else are people going to find it? And the answer is what you've said. It's God himself. And the Bible helps a ton. Those are the best stories about who he is. There are other great ones. We're both big C.S. Lewis fans. He's preaching stuff. I thought of a quote from him last night, because we got some pushback on one of our videos. I don't know if you saw the last short I put out, but it was about sin. And I said, sin is never about what we do. It's always about what we believe.
Yes.
And we can behave sinfully, but only if we believe sinfully. You'll never act out of something you don't believe.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And people were like, this fool is saying it only counts as sin if we believe it's sin or something. And I was like, whoa, man. Like I was getting some crazy pushback, and people were just married to this idea of, no, sin is what I do. I'm naughty if I sin. And I thought of that that quote. I almost call it a verse. It practically could be. But C.S. Lewis said, we are not too hard to please. We're too easy to please. We're perfectly content rolling around in the mud, enjoying our little vices, picking good and evil. Well, this is naughty and this is good, and I'm going to do this.
Wow.
And we're perfectly content to fool around in that mud puddle when there's a beach and an ocean vacation awaiting us. Like, just no, I got to buckle down and be good, and I'm going to make my life right and good and sinless. And like, that's such a small view of who God is and what he's done for us, because he loves us, because he's given us everything. And to think that it's up to us, that just popped into my head. And to tie into, yeah, the Bible's great. It's got tons of, beautiful, wonderful. That's the recorded words of Jesus. You can't get much better. But C.S. Lewis was talking to God. Like, he had him, and he was writing gospel, like good news, true stuff about the truth of God and Jesus. And to discount that or think it's not as valuable or something, like, it is valuable. It's super valuable. He was, again, it's not canonical. It's not in the Bible, but that idea absolutely is in the Bible. I have a high confidence Jesus would say the same thing if he probably did. They didn't record everything he said. He probably said something like that. Like, you guys are okay with just thinking you got your lives figured out? I'm going to give you so much better than that. You have no idea. Just let this stuff go. And they're like, no, we're in charge. And I'm sure he had multiple conversations like that.